We have some stuff to talk about with the huge win over the Preds, but the bad loss to Buffalo.
Hey, this is Braden Chen.
Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, it's going to be simple. Huge 7-4 win over the Nashville Predators, and of course, falling to the Sabres 4-2 yesterday. It was a day game, not a good game. And tomorrow, something is happening. Not on January 1st, which, again, annoyed about that. It is the Winter Classic, so I'll talk some things about that. So let's do it. Let's do this. Okay. So essentially, the Blues had a really big win over the Predators, and I was really happy about this win. First off, I said to you the whole entire time that the Preds were frauds, okay? Say what you want about the St. Louis Blues. When it comes to Nashville, they are the biggest frauds in the NHL this season, okay? I know they have big names. They have Stamkos, right? They have Montour. No, not Montour. Marchessault, right? I get them all mixed up. They have names, right? It's Marchessault. They have names, right? And they couldn't do much with them at all. So the team looked dead. But let's go talk about this game because it was a big game for a couple players. Of course, my boy Robert Thomas, and then of course Cam Fowler. So let's talk about it. So both teams had 30 shots on goal, which again wasn't so surprising. It was like one of those games where it really did feel like the puck was just moving on both ends of the ice. However, I was really ecstatic, okay, for my boy, Robert Thomas. Why is that? Because about a minute in, he scored a goal unassisted, giving the Blues a 1-0 lead. So it was an early goal. Then you have Zach Bolduc, who got his 5th goal this season, literally like a minute and a couple seconds later. And that was assisted by Sonny and Justin Falk. And then Janowski scores for the Preds. So now the game is 2-1. And this is all in the first frame, by the way. It was a crazy first period of play. Jordan Kyrou scores, assisted by Cam Fowler and Dylan Holloway, making it 3-1. Oh, but what happens on the power play? Steven Stamkos scores, still in the first period. And it was assisted by Jonathan Marchessault and Ryan O'Reilly. We miss you. Making it then a 1-goal game again. So then it was 3-2. Blues still have the lead. And then finally, with literally 2 minutes left in the first period, Cam Fowler gets his first goal as the St. Louis Blue, assisted by Dylan Holloway, giving the Blues a 4-2 lead. That was a lot. How do you think I felt watching the game? It was so much back and forth, and it was a little stressful. I'm not going to lie. That power play goal that Steven Stamkos had was actually a really good goal. And that's really all there is to it. Sometimes good goals happen, but I feel like at the same time, giving up 2 goals in that type of play in that period wasn't the worst thing. Let's move on to the second period. About 5 minutes in, Blankenburg was able to get it again to a 1-goal game. Blues still have the lead 4-3. Then my boy Philip Broberg, he said, you know what? Let me get a goal. Let me get my 3rd goal of the season, and that he did. So then it gave the Blues a 2-goal lead, making it 5-3. Unassisted, both of those goals, by the way, from Nashville and St. Louis. Finally, third period on the power play for Nashville, Jonathan Marchessault is able to now attack the net, assisting him with Steven Stamkos and then Philip Forsberg. So 21st assist of him for the season. 1-goal deficit. Oh no, what happens? Oh, you guessed it. Wait, what? Whoa. The Blues get a power play goal. Yeah, you heard me. The Blues get a power play goal. My boy Robert Thomas was able to score in the power play, assisted by Ruzi and Cam Fowler. So big night for Fowler. And then finally on the empty net, Parayko was able to get it in with an assist from the Aussie, Nathan Walker, making it 7-4. So yes, Cam Fowler ended the night with 1 goal, 2 assists. Tomer ended the night with 2 goals, and then Holloway ended the night with 2 assists. So it was a big night for the boys in blue, but I was really happy about it. Joel Hofer, as I mentioned, I don't know if I even mentioned in this episode. I know I mentioned it previewing the game, but he was in net for St. Louis, and it was a really good night for Joel. I know that he led in 4 goals, but again, tough when you have guys like a Stamkos and a Marchessault, right, and Forsberg. They have good players. So he was able to save 26 out of the 30, so 4 went in, and not too bad. And then I always like to do a thing called, time on the ice, right? Total time on the ice. And again, Robert Thomas caught my eye, 19 minutes and 50 seconds, so the most for the forwards. And then when I look at our defensemen, it's going to go to Colton Parayko with 22 minutes and 27 seconds. And then Jay Falk with 22 minutes, 24 seconds. All the guys on defense had pretty high numbers besides Ryan Suter, who had 17 minutes, but that's what he should be playing. And then Tyler Tucker had about 9 minutes. So he was the lowest ice time of the night for that game. Yes, Braden's brother Luke did play. He didn't really do much whatsoever, but he had like 4 hits, but he was on the ice. So and he had a giveaway. So like shout out Luke Shen. Thank you. But yes, that was the win that the Blues had over Nashville. And again, it was a very dominant win. It was one of those wins where I feel like it kind of sparked the Blues to have some, I don't want to say positivity and confidence, but that's essentially what it did. And I think that, Jordan Kyrou, I told you that he's so underrated, right? And with Jordan Kyrou, he had a goal and an assist, and that's a huge thing for him. I know that sometimes that gets overshadowed by other players doing really good things like Robert Thomas, Fowler, Holloway's assist, but he still had a really strong game. And, when you look at the guys that scored, I mentioned this prior, but for Broberg and Parayko both scoring 2 defensemen, right? It just goes to show how versatile the Blues' defense is. And especially in players like Philip Broberg, that's where his strong suit is. He's not just a defenseman, right? He's a 2-way defenseman. Now, Colton Parayko, you could make the argument that he is just purely a defenseman, but he does have great shots. So it's hard to say with that too. But I really feel like it was crazy, especially when Bolduc had the slap shot, right? That was like right from the right circle. I was like, oh my goodness. Like to see that power come out of him just goes to show that he is improving and he is heading in the right direction. I know that a lot of us were a little bit nervous about Zach Bolduc because maybe he wasn't progressing the way that we thought he would, but clearly after this game, my confidence level in him went back up, and Cam Fowler giving the Blues a 4-2 lead towards the end of the first frame. It was a great shot from inside the blue line, and I think that, he is a good piece of this team. It's crazy to think that it's been like half a month since the Blues acquired him from Anaheim, right? Because it happened on December 14th. But truly unbelievable. And Thomas, by the way, he has 18 points in his last 12 games with 6 goals and 12 assists. So Robert Thomas season is in full effect. I think I literally tweeted that RT season. That was like the one tweet I made during the game. My problem is when I'm watching games, I'm not like on my phone. But sometimes I'm like, I need to be on my phone a little bit more, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I truly looked at that Nashville game and thought this was a turning point for the team. And I wish so badly it was. And I don't feel like, and I'm going to talk about this Buffalo game because we can't ignore it. We cannot ignore it. Okay. I wish so badly that the Blues were able to pull off this win against the Sabres too, because heading into the Winter Classic, there's a lot of eyes on you, and your last game was a really ugly loss to the Sabres. So I'm going to talk about that. But before I talk about the loss to Buffalo, I keep on mentioning it, but like it just was a really bad game. I'm going to talk to you about Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or you're paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I've had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with your goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside for my future, and there's no more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on, rocketmoney.com/locked on. All right, let's talk about this ugly loss to the Buffalo Sabres yesterday. So, I'm all about day games. I kind of enjoy the day game, right? How do you feel about the day game? Some people, they're fans of it. Some people, they're not fans of it. I personally like a nice daytime game. So, puck drop was at 2. Perfect. Loved it. Didn't love what happened in this game. So, let's just get it right off the bat. The Blues didn't start off too hot. That is right, because Peyton Krebs, about 6 minutes in, was able to score and give Buffalo their first lead of the game. Tage Thompson on the power play, noticing a pattern about how the Blues are not doing good on the PK. On the power play, was able to give Buffalo a 2-0 lead. Okay. Well, luckily, Braden Shen answered, scored his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Parayko and Jake Neighbors, and was able to cut the deficit to 1. So 2-1, Buffalo had the lead. Second period, no scoring, despite the fact that Blues had a lot of shots on goal. Third period, the Aussie Nathan Walker was able to tie up the game. So you thought things were heading in the right direction, right? No, wrong. Assisted again, I just want to put that out there, assisted by Colton Parayko and then Alexi. So anywho, yeah, it's the Blues' penalty kill. It's not good. So Jason Zucker was able to score on the power play for Buffalo, gave them a 3-2 lead. And then finally, the Sabres were able to score again. Kulish was able to score again, making it 4-2. Fun fact, Mateus Samuelson, I know his sister, so she does stuff with the team near me. Anyways, the Blues did really good on the faceoff yesterday, though. That was something I was impressed with. So they did well on that. They had a lot of shots on goal, 37 shots on goal, okay? Buffalo had 16. 37 shots on goal. I just want to have that be like heard one more time. 37 shots on goal. That is not good. In net yesterday was Binner. Yeah, not a good game for him, obviously. Buffalo had 16 total shots, and he only saved 12. You do the math, not good. So anywho, let's talk about some players that did not get a lot of ice time. Again, Tyler Tucker, less minutes. It's still 9 minutes. Suter, 15 minutes. Alexi only had 9 minutes. It wasn't a good game from him whatsoever. I mean, personally, I know that he got an assist, but he doesn't do much for me when he's on the ice. So that is something that was a little bit disappointing. But it's interesting, right? When you look at the stats and you break down everything that happened, it's not like there was too many giveaways, right? Like Zach Bolduc had one, Bushi had one, Ruzi had one, Neighbors had one, Sod had one, but like the Blues didn't have a lot of bad plays necessarily, which makes it even more frustrating. It was really the penalties, and the Blues, I mean, Neighbors hooking against Zach Benson, Texier hooking against Rasmus Dahlin, and then Bolduc in the third period had one for cross-checking. So it wasn't like they were dealt a lot of bad calls, right? I mean, if you think about it, the Blues were on the power play 4 times yesterday, and they couldn't accumulate anything off of that, so wasn't good either. But no, it was overall a really bad game. And my frustration with St. Louis, and I think I've said this all season, is they have the talent. They set up the plays, they just cannot finish them. And I think that's the problem that I am just so frustrated with, because Buffalo isn't a good team. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but they're 14, 19, and 4 on the season, right? After yesterday's win in St. Louis. So they're not a great team at all. They have 32 points and they're dead last in the Atlantic Division. And meanwhile, the Blues just really struggled against them. It just doesn't make sense to me, which is why I'm now thinking, wait, maybe the Blues are just not a good team. And all my positivity and all of my hope and all of my belief about who the Blues were makes it just a little bit frustrating. And I think that the Blues had so many opportunities, right? And they just didn't do it. I mean, I talked about the special teams, right? You don't have a good power play. You don't have a good penalty kill. So then what do you have? And that's the question. What do you have? Coach said, our 6 haven't been great on the PK. We're getting seamed. The last goal is a good example of us getting seamed. You've got to protect the middle of the ice and give our goalies a better chance at the saves they're expecting to see. Excuses? Like, I don't mean to be that person, right? That's like, oh my gosh, excuses. But seriously, it was not a good game from St. Louis. And yes, you can play well 5-on-5. I know coach talked about that too. And that was one of the things that he mentioned. Like, you can play good on 5-on-5, but if you're not playing well on, the power play or PK, it doesn't really matter. And that's how I felt about this game. That they did play pretty well 5-on-5, and I'm not going to deny that. And I'm not taking that away from St. Louis, okay? I am not at all. But at the end of the day, if you're not executing and you're not performing well, shorthanded or if the extra man advantage, you're not going to win games. And I think that's the harsh reality of this team. Maybe they're just not good. So this brings me into a conversation that I need. It's not even a want, it is a need that I need to have with you about tomorrow. So tomorrow is the Winter Classic. Yay! No. I'm excited. No, I am excited. I think it's cool. Like, I'm excited for the players. I'm excited for, I love it. Woohoo! The NHL cares about St. Louis. Let's go! Like, big win. I'm not excited about what will happen if the Blues win. I know that's a very negative mentality heading into a game that is supposed to be really exciting. I get that. I think for me it's very simple. The Blues don't get a lot of national publicity from the NHL, right? Let's face it, they don't. And a lot of people I've noticed have been keeping their eyes on the Blues lately because, it's the team in the Winter Classic. They know Connor Bedard, right? They know about the Blackhawks. Not a lot of people maybe know about St. Louis. They know Jordan Binnington, but who do people talk about more lately, Binnington or Bedard? And I think you could actually make an argument on that one. But getting back to things, the Blues had this huge win against the Predators, and I wish so badly. As I said, they had that same kind of win over Buffalo, but they don't. So you lose the worst team in the Atlantic Division, right? You're now getting ready to play in front of thousands, maybe millions, maybe, of people tomorrow in one of the biggest events of the season besides the Stanley Cup Finals, and you don't have a good hockey team. You are so inconsistent. They should beat the Blackhawks. The Blues are a better team than the Blackhawks, but it's always the Blues versus the Blues, okay? What am I saying? The Blues battle each other the most. This is a team, for whatever reason, it's self-inflicted. It's not because another team is that much better than them. It's them versus them. And when you play your team like Chicago, and I'm not trying to be rude to the Blackhawks, but they're just not that strong of a team compared to St. Louis, it makes me really worried about how the Blues will be looked at nationally. And that is my concern. Is this a playoff team? No. Did I think they were going to be a playoff team heading into the season? Yes. Am I disappointed in Broberg and Holloway? No. I am impressed with Dylan Holloway. I'm happy with Philip Broberg. Good. Texier, not impressed. Foxa, not impressed. Suter, impressed. Joseph, because there's only one now. Hi, Matthew. It's okay. I hope that they prove me wrong tomorrow. I do, and I'll do a whole episode on the Winter Classic tomorrow, obviously, and I'll do I have 2 episodes tomorrow, so tomorrow will be a fun day. But yeah, essentially what I am getting at is this team kind of disappointed me this season. And I'm slowly accepting the fact that the Blues might get embarrassed on national television, media all tomorrow. And I am not excited about that at all. So I will talk to you tomorrow for a Winter Classic day. And like always, let's go Blues.